Coming up on Let's Get to the Points.
So thanks to points and miles, I was able to have a great experience for the last World Cup, and I'm already planning on using points and miles for this World Cup.
So when it comes to dynamic pricing with these tickets, should we feel the same about these?
Absolutely. So for the last World Cup, that's been my best and biggest redemption to date using points and miles for that trip alone.
Okay, so let's say I want to go now and I want to get tickets. What are my chances?
There's a lot of crazy stories on how I've gotten tickets, whether it's in the favelas in Rio, that's like the slums, but this is a good time to sign up bonus
credit card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Use a tour to sub.
And we're going to get into some tips about hotels because I do have a couple of pointers when you're looking for hotel stays for the World Cup matches.
After Mexico beat Germany at the Russia World Cup, the whole city of Moscow ran out of beer. We had to go drink red wine, which was good actually. That's where we became a fan of red wine. But let me tell you.
And now, let's get to the points. She loves making family travel first class without the first class cost. It's Serena. For him, no travel style is off limits and no destination is too far. It's Miguel. And he loves to use his credit card points and miles for unforgettable experiences in first class and beyond. It's Mitch Shannon.
Today is the day. The World Cup draw is officially happening and the groups are being revealed. People are trying to predict potential matchups and the countdown to 2026 has finally begun. To celebrate, we're breaking down how to plan the ultimate World Cup experience using points and miles and the best strategies. Now, Miguel is going to tell you this isn't just any tournament. It's the biggest World Cup in history. Period. Full stop. And for the first time ever, it's hosted by 3 countries, the United States, Mexico, and Canada. 3 host countries, 16 cities, 104 matches. And it's especially exciting for fans like us in the United States because for the first time since 1994, the biggest sporting event in the world is happening right here in our own backyard. And to put this into perspective, this is the most spread out tournament in the history of sports. Thousands of miles between some venues, and this isn't something like we saw in Qatar where everything is pretty close. This is very different. So whether you just saw the group your team landed in or you're waiting to see where the best fixtures will be, tonight we're going to show you how to get the tickets, how to fly for less, and how to save on hotels. And in addition to all of that, we're going to cover Miguel's 2022 World Cup experience, the lessons he learned from that, and traveling there too. And to help with our discussion tonight, we have our extra special guest co-host Osman, who has attended, count them, 5 World Cups. And as always, we invite you to join in our conversation online by leaving a comment below. Okay, Osman, Miguel, do you even need Serena and I? I mean, I'm just trying to wrap my head around all of this. 3 host countries, basically North America. It's how it's going to work. But before we even get there, I think we need to address what you all are wearing tonight. I think that's more important.
I am wearing my Team USA soccer shirt. I'll say soccer because it's USA. If it was any other country, I would say my football jersey, but since it's USA, I'll say my Team USA soccer jersey. And I don't know which year this is from because I've had this for a while. I know they change them at least every World Cup, if not more than that. But since my Mexico jersey doesn't fit anymore, I went with my US one.
That's why I'm not wearing mine either. I see that. I see the jersey that you're wearing, Miguel. That's actually the bomb pop from 2014. Big goals were scored with that jersey. So when I saw you come online right now, when I saw that jersey, it brought a big smile. It reminded me of my nights when I was in Brazil in 2014.
That's the one I really, really wanted to go to. But back then I wasn't into points and miles. So I didn't think it was possible because these events are or can get very expensive. Now for the last one in Qatar, I was into points and miles. So I was able to, without really planning it, go to that World Cup because once it came down to the first come, first serve ticket sales, I just went online and waited a couple hours and I got tickets. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Qatar. But I knew that I had the backing of points and miles to help me get there for whether it be the flights or flights and hotels. And, you know, had a great time. And even though I'm not really into sports, I do enjoy live sporting events. So after Qatar 2022, I told myself that I'd never miss another World Cup because it was just fantastic. Seeing people from all over the world come together for this sport and everybody's just having a great time. It was amazing. So I can't wait to hear all about your experiences. You've been to 5 World Cups, so I really want to know more about your experiences at all these other World Cups.
It's great that you brought up the World Cup, Miguel. I've been to 5 World Cups. I started back in 1994. I went with my dad and my uncle when I was 4 years old. Funny story for that one. I went to all the games here in Los Angeles, including the final. I was so small growing up. I remember the final. My dad carried me on his shoulders and he said that I was under 2 years old. So I got to go in for free, which I don't recommend doing. But I mean, if it's for a World Cup final, I mean, I do it too. I went again when I was 16. My uncle took me to Germany. We went to Germany I went for 3 months the whole summer. I had a cousin living out there. He was in the U.S. military. So I stayed with him mainly. And then with those, I went 5 games here in Los Angeles, another 6 in Germany. 2010, I had different plans for life. I didn't go to that one in South Africa, which I wish I would have gone, especially given the way the U.S. did with Landon Donovan's historic goal that he did against Algeria, which I'll never forget. It's a last second goal, by the way. So if you guys can look up a clip, there's actually really good because there's videos of Landon Donovan scoring with fans from all over the world celebrating it, including military bases. And then in 2014, I went to Brazil. I took my younger brother with me. That one was fun because I was 24. I was like an adult. So I got to plan my own thing. It was very expensive. I used many different transportation methods, whether it was taxis. We went on a boat in the Amazon and we also bought an air pass. So that one was, I think, $900 and it was like all you can fly for those 3 weeks. So we pretty much flew throughout the entire country of Brazil, and Brazil is a very, very large country. I didn't think it was that big until you fly from Porto Alegre, which is down south, up to Manaus, where the Amazon is. It was about a 16-hour trek with like a 5-hour layover in Rio. And then 2018, I went to 6 games in Russia with my father-in-law, which was very fun. We got to go to opening match for that one. We did about 6 cities in 2 weeks. For the 2022 World Cup in Qatar, I didn't really plan it out as much as I did Russia and Brazil. For that one, I was with that mentality that if I get tickets, then I'll go. And lucky enough, I was able to get tickets for the 2 semifinals, the 3rd place match, and then I got tickets for the actual final the day of, hours before the game.
Wow. I don't know if you're going to be able to top any of that because the prices for the 2026 World Cup is the first time they do dynamic pricing. So the prices are pretty insane. I'll be happy that I go to 1 match. In Qatar, I went to 5 matches and they all turned out to be pretty good matches. I ended up doing USA versus Wales, Germany versus Japan, Mexico versus Poland, which I got the day before in person at one of the stadiums. I did Brazil, Serbia, and France, Australia. So I got pretty lucky. I bought what they called a stadium tour, I believe. So you got to go to 4 different stadiums. And for a lot of these matches, people are buying tickets before they even know who's going to be playing in them, right? The draw was going to be announced today, December 5th. Up until now, prices are already really high with people not even knowing who they're going to end up watching. So I'm happy if I go to 1 match.
Same here. I'm still waiting on an email from FIFA so I can get my tickets. So we're already a couple phases in and I haven't gotten it. But, one thing I want to tell a lot of the fans, especially the ones that are tuning in for this episode, is don't worry. I know a lot of people I see on different platforms as far as Facebook, Instagram, and also on TikTok, people are so nervous about, am I going to get tickets? There's always going to be tickets one way or another. The big question is, do you have the money to spend? And then food for thought, tickets do get cheaper eventually the day of. For example, the day of the final for the 22 World Cup between France and Argentina, we stayed on a cruise ship in Doha. I'll get to that shortly. When I woke up that morning, I was in our cabin and I looked tickets for on the resale secondary market were going for $9,000. And then we went to the ticketing center in downtown Doha, was about a 10-minute bus ride there. People were selling tickets later on that day for $7,000 cash. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do cash just in case things can go wrong if you pay cash. I was like, I'm going to use my credit card, which I wish I would have known about credit card points then because I sure would have used it for a sign-up bonus. That would have been perfect. The game was at 6:30. So my chances of going to the final were narrowing down. And I remember I was at a Domino's across the street from the ticketing center. I was eating my pizza. I happened to look at my phone and on the 3rd-party resale, I saw tickets for $2,000. I looked at my father-in-law and I was like, hey, they're $2,000. He's like, and so then he looks at me and he tells me in Spanish, o venimos a ver el partido en persona o por la tele. Pretty much saying, did we come to watch the game in person or watch it on a big screen TV? So then what we did is I bought the 2 tickets at $2,000 each compared to $9,000 earlier in the day. We got on the train and went straight to the stadium and got there about 30 minutes before kickoff. That's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Oh, wow. Wait, how many games did you watch in Doha?
In Qatar, I watched 4. So I watched semifinal 1, which was Argentina versus Croatia. Then the next day we saw France versus Morocco. France and Argentina won those games, so we saw them in the final. And then for the third place match was the losers from the semifinals, which was between Croatia and Morocco.
Wow. Miguel, how much did you spend on your Qatar tickets?
4 of them were category 3 tickets, so the cheapest ones, they were $165 each. And I got a category 1 ticket for the USA versus Wales. I think that was $220.
After hearing the excitement from Miguel and Osman, I feel like going to the World Cup now. So let us know in the comments below. Are you going to the World Cup? Are you hoping to go?
All right, guys. So in the world of credit card points and miles, when it comes to hotels and airlines, we hear the words dynamic pricing. We get very nervous. We get very scared. We get very worried. So when it comes to dynamic pricing with these tickets, should we feel the same about these?
Absolutely. Because normally for the World Cup, the tickets have had a, let's call it manufacturer suggested retail price, MSRP, that FIFA says they're worth. After you get them there, there's a secondary market. They started doing something different last time in Qatar, where if you wanted to sell it back, they wanted you to do it through FIFA's website because they were going to be collecting a fee every time there's a transaction. But this time they're letting you sell it for a higher price and they're taking 15% each time it's going through their platform again. Now they get 15% of a higher rate instead of potentially losing out on that revenue. So they're going to make so much money on this World Cup. Not only is it dynamically priced for the tickets, but they increase the number of matches, the number of teams or countries that are going to be in the tournament. So there's 104 matches at these crazy prices, but we're still going.
Compared to the 64 that there usually was for the past couple World Cups. The other thing too with the dynamic pricing, FIFA didn't put a cap on it. So people can sell it for prices through the roof, which we're actually seeing a lot right now too.
We're going to get more into how you can still get tickets for the tournament a little bit later on. But first, I want to go over my experience with points and miles at the last World Cup, because that's been my best and biggest redemption to date using points and miles for that trip alone. So for the last World Cup, I had no plans of going, but like I mentioned before, FIFA was having a first come, first serve ticket sale. So I just said, why not? Let me try. So I got lucky. I ended up getting tickets. So then it was all about planning how to get there and how to use my points and miles for the airfare and the hotels. I looked up all these different routings because everything was going to be expensive. The hotels was one of the most important parts because that World Cup was pretty much within one city. Qatar is a very small country and all the stadiums are within a taxi or Uber driving distance of each other because it was all very compact. That means that the inventory of hotel rooms was not as high as other tournaments where the tournament matches are spread in different cities. For example, in this World Cup, there's going to be 16 different cities. That's 16 different markets for hotels. Back then, Doha was it. I started looking for hotels using points. Everything was blocked off for points because the demand was so high that a lot of people were willing to pay the cash for it. At that point, I had pretty much accepted that I was not going to use points for a hotel because everything was closed off. And I started looking into these these accommodations that were like in containers, like Connex boxes, and they were going for like $200 a night. I said, that's my budget. That's where we're going to stay. Every couple of days, I would look in the different Marriott or Hyatt apps to see if there was anything opening up, and it paid off. I happened to check the Marriott app. Thank you, Marriott. There was a new hotel that was opening up a month prior to the World Cup. It was opening up in October of 2022, and it was the St. Regis Marsa Arabia Island in the Pearl. The Pearl is a man-made island within Doha, and I was able to redeem 160,000 Marriott points for 5 nights there. At the time of booking, that 5-night stay was going for $29,000. A couple of days after booking, the property contacted me through email and said there was a mistake. Of course, they wanted me to cancel it, but of course I was not going to cancel it because I've read some terms and conditions here and there. And if Marriott cannot fulfill your reservation due to the ultimate reservation guarantee, they have to provide you with another accommodation. So I said, yeah, no, I'm not canceling. If it was really a glitch like they told me it was, they would just cancel it themselves. But no, they wanted me to cancel it. So I read up all these terms and conditions of the Marriott Bonvoy program, and I realized that for the ultimate reservation guarantee, the St. Regis and Ritz-Carlton properties, you have to be a titanium member or above. And I wasn't. I was a platinum at the time. So I ran the numbers. I did the math. I needed 14 more nights to become titanium. So what did I do? I looked up properties here in El Paso that I could do a mattress run, 14 nights, so I could be titanium. And that would cover me in that situation. I didn't just check in at the same hotel for 14 nights because that's too easy. There was a promotion where you got an extra 1,000 points per stay or something like that. So I checked in and out 14 different times so I could maximize the points earnings. I paid about $1,300 for that mattress run. After I earned my titanium status, I replied to the property, said, I look forward to being there. And they still wanted me to cancel it. They tried again, but I said, no, I know this is what you need. I know you need my FIFA ticket number. And I knew they needed my Haya card information, which is what the state of Qatar was requiring you to have, pretty much like a visa to enter the country, and my FIFA ticket number. So I just responded with that information that I knew they needed because I had tried to make reservations at other hotels, and that's what they asked for. After that, they just said, we look forward to seeing you here. So once I checked in, I said, hey, by the way, I saw that these other rooms are available and I'm titanium. Can I get an upgrade? So I ended up getting upgraded to a room for the 5-night stay. It was going for $35,000. It was pretty much a residence. It was 2-bedroom, 2 balconies. There was a nanny room. It's a ridiculous room there at the St. Regis.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
For context, to make his redemption even much better, Lionel Messi was staying in a college dorm room while Miguel was staying in paradise. Yes. I remember when he posted his videos, like, this guy really is staying in better hotels than the actual teams that are participating in the tournament.
Did you have a butler, Miguel?
I did have a butler. And a funny story, I don't know if you've seen videos or pictures of me, how I was dressed. I was dressed in a traditional Qatari outfit. So when we checked in, I was wearing that outfit. And if you look at me, I could blend in with the local population there. When the butler walked us over to the room and my brother-in-law asked him what one of the rooms was, he said, oh, this is a nanny room because people here, travel with their nannies. And then he looked at me like wondering why I didn't know. And he's like, you're not Qatari? I was like, no. So I opened up my robe and I had the Mexico jersey underneath, and he just cracked up because he really thought I was Qatari when we checked in.
It's the beards.
I'm guessing Messi did not have a butler in his dorm room.
Yeah, probably not. I also stayed for 3 nights prior to the St. Regis at the Hyatt Regency where we stayed once. And that's where the team from Ecuador was staying. So we were actually there when they came in to check in. That was kind of cool too.
Was it the Hyatt Regency Oryx?
Yeah, that's where Ecuador stayed.
Oh.
As far as the flights, there were so many different options because going to the Middle East, I could have had a layover in Europe or another Middle Eastern hub. And what I really wanted to do to maximize my points was fly Emirates business class because at saver level rates, you could do North America to Europe for 90,000 points. That has since gone up. It's about 108,000 points, I believe. But that's what I really wanted to do because I was using my points for myself and for my brother-in-law. I had to be flexible because I didn't want to go for too long, but that saver level rate made me extend my trip. So it ended up being almost a 2-week trip, even though we were only going to Qatar for about a little over a week. I just took advantage of that opportunity. We spent some time in Milan, in Rome, and then on the way back, we hit Cairo. So that flexibility was key to paying less in points because I was flexible with my duration of my stay. So thanks to points and miles, I was able to have a great experience for the last World Cup. And I'm already planning on using points and miles for this World Cup. But Osman, I want to hear about what things you've learned because you've been to 5 of these tournaments. So I want to hear what tips you might have.
Well, to start off, I haven't used any points for any of the hotels that I've stayed at. So I think this might be the first World Cup that I will be using points, which I've already booked a couple of hotels at a Hyatt. I don't know if I'm going to go to the games, but at 8,000 points, and I read the terms and conditions, a tip that I learned from Miguel, I have 24 hours before the actual date to cancel. So I have hotels already booked in San Francisco, Dallas, Boston, and Monterrey. And these are all Hyatt properties. They're cheap right now. So whoever's planning to go out there, I'd recommend just using it on points and just read their terms and conditions to see when the cancellation policies are. But regarding that, I did use a lot of different search engines like kayak.com, booking.com to book hotel rooms, and also Airbnbs. I've stayed at jiu-jitsu gyms in Amazon off of Airbnb, which was ridiculous because it was about 100 degrees, 95% humidity, sleeping with a jacket on because there were so many mosquitoes.
Oh my god.
That's probably a night that I will not forget. And that was for 4 nights.
Where was this?
That was in Manaus in the Amazon in Brazil. That was for the USA versus Portugal game. I have pictures where my brother's arms are just all ate up from the mosquitoes that we got.
Gosh.
Yeah, so it was a lot of things for the World Cup. It's fun, but one thing I like to stress out to, especially all my friends and everyone that months, it's very tiring, especially during the group phases, the first 2 to 3 weeks when there's games every single day. And I know Miguel mentioned, it's worth booking a city, staying there for a couple of days. I'm the opposite. I'm go. So for context, for this World Cup, I already have planned. If everything goes well and I get the tickets that I want, I'm going to apply for tickets for the opening match in Mexico, which is on a Thursday. Then the opening match here in the US, here in Los Angeles, which is the next day. There's a flight from Mexico City to Tijuana on Aeromexico, and it gets you there 8 hours before kickoff here in Los Angeles. Then from there, drive home 30 minutes. And then with my kids and my wife, drive up to San Francisco for the 4th match the next day. And then that's where the first hotel is going to be at. My wife and kids are going to stay in the hotel, and then my father-in-law will fly out that night to Dallas. And then Dallas for 1 day, Miami for 1 day, Boston for 1 day, and then we go to Monterrey for 1 day. And that's just for the first 7 days.
I'm happy over here with one.
Yeah, it can get very tiring. I mean, I don't know when's the next time. My dream has always been to attend the World Cup with someone I love. And then the past 5, I've done it with someone, but now having my own family. I mean, I've had my own family for the past 2, but that is here in our backyard. I can take advantage of that. So what I want, my dream is to have a family picture, the 5 of us, my wife and my 3 kids together at one game. Doesn't matter which one, just to say that we didn't. And I think that's the most important thing for the fans, for the soccer community fans and just any fan in general. Doesn't matter who you watch. The thing is, attending a match. If you do happen to have the luck to get tickets for a game, go to the venue hours before kickoff. Walk around the stadiums. There's a lot of great things that FIFA offers around the actual stadium. That's the outside. Do the fan fest, do everything. Get involved. It's so much fun. When I was in St. Petersburg for the 2018 World Cup, my father-in-law and I were walking around. Someone came up to us, took a picture, and I was like, "What's this for?" He was like, "Hey, we're going to take pictures for you guys. You'll see in a couple hours." About an hour later, I went to go buy a soda in the actual stadium, and I came across this. It's my father-in-law for the actual game, the day of the game.
How fast was that?
An hour later. And then it also says it was the Costa Rica versus Brazil game. And it has the date, St. Petersburg, and it has the date as well. So this is probably one of the souvenirs I will forever keep for myself.
That is so cool.
One of the things too, which I hope they do at this World Cup here, every venue for every game, they have special edition beer cups. And then a lot of us go out there to drink beer. It's delicious. I love it. But the cool thing is that, which I learned, I like to bring back souvenirs for my friends. And a lot of them was, "Hey, bring me back something." I was, "All right, cool." They have these cups that they get. This is from Brazil, has a stadium name. And I brought these back for my friends. So this is from Brazil. This is from Russia. This is the Mexico versus Germany. This is probably one of the best games I've ever attended. The biggest upset to me, I think, in World Cup history, which Germany was the defending champ. Mexico came in with a 0% chance and then shut them out 1-0. That one was nice. For the Qatar World Cup, beer got banned like a month prior, which was
really,
yeah, it was horrible. Yeah. So a lot of people were mad, but they did have Budweiser zero.
I have that one.
Yeah. So I bought a couple of these and I brought these back for my friends. A lot of my friends have the cups from the actual games, especially since they have the flags on them. Souvenirs, that's fun, and that brings me back to my point where go early to the games, have fun, and just experience everything that the World Cup has to offer.
I have that same cup with the 0 alcohol Budweiser. And the funny thing is, at the Mexico game, Mexico versus Poland, they ran out of that 0 alcohol beer. So Mexicans drank it dry, even though it didn't have alcohol. We were all buying up, sold out the beer.
Oh yeah. Same thing in Russia. After Mexico beat Germany at the Russia World Cup, the whole city of Moscow ran out of beer. We had to go and drink red wine, which was good actually. That's where we became a fan of red wine. But let me tell you, beer ran out the whole city. And then even the Russians was like, not a lot of them spoke English, let alone Spanish, but they were like, Mexicans, Mexicanos, no cerveza. And I was like, okay. That's when it was a good time out there.
Yeah, I just want to point something out, and I've only been to one, so correct me if you know something else, Osman. But I think the Mexican fans are the best, and you're going to find the best fans anywhere for any World Cup. Mexico is overrepresented, I think.
Without a doubt. I'm actually from Salvadorian descent. Both of my parents are from El Salvador, but one of my favorite teams to actually watch play is the Mexican national team. And now that my kids are half Mexican, I can even say it now with more confidence that my number one choice is to watch actual Mexico play. I mean, for the most part, they play great on the field, but just everything outside of the field, like the fans and everything outside of the stadium, is so much fun.
Another quick story about Mexican fans. At the Japan-Australia game that I went to, a lot of the fans were wearing Mexico jerseys because they were playing that day somewhere else. And after the game, we're walking out and all the chants are about Mexico, even though Mexico was not playing at that stadium. It's so fun.
I love it. It makes me feel like going to a game.
If I could pick any match to attend, I would choose Mexico. USA would be my top two. But let us know in the comments which team is your team for the World Cup.
Okay, so let's say I want to go now and I want to get tickets. What are my chances?
Okay, Serena. So we're going to skip the Visa presale and early ticket draw because that's over. As of today, after the draw, people will be able to apply to specific matches. So now people have a better idea of what teams are playing, what teams and which dates. So you can apply for an individual match. If you're lucky, you'll get an email from FIFA telling you that you're able to buy tickets for the match that you said. So this is a random draw. And if you just want to go to any match, I suggest that you apply for as many as you can because you'll have higher chances of attending one. Because another thing is with the dynamic pricing, maybe you apply for a game you really want to go to, but it ends up costing thousands of dollars. And maybe there's another match that's going for a couple $100 and, you rather do that instead. This is going to be the best chance for reasonable pricing, as reasonable as it can get. Closer to the tournament, they'll have last minute, first come, first serve tickets. There's also a resale marketplace through FIFA, which is open right now if you want to go check that out, but it's going to continue to be open. And this is something that you can continually check because this is where people are going to go back to resell their tickets. And then there's the guaranteed access. The foolproof way to get your tickets is you got to be rich. You got to have a lot of money. They have hospitality tickets. These are the tickets that aside from your seat, it also comes with pre-match, halftime perhaps, and post-match beverages and food. These are not cheap. For a single match, the lowest you're going to be paying is $1,400 per match, per person. And you cannot currently buy any for any of the three host countries, US, Canada, or Mexico. Now, within the hospitality, there's different tiers. So there's the FIFA Pavilion, which are the cheapest ones. This is celebration before and after the match outside of the stadium. Then they have the Trophy Lounge, VIP, and the Pitch Side Lounge. So if you're willing to spend $1,500, $2,000 per person per match, you can get those as of right now, last time I checked. They also have a venue series. So this is if you live or want to go to a specific stadium, you can buy up from 4 to 9 matches, depending on the stadium, because some of these stadiums are going to host more matches. For example, Dallas is one of the stadiums going to host a lot of matches. And if you wanted to go to Dallas, the hospitality starts at $16,000 per person and goes all the way up to $41,000 for the Pitch Side Lounge. If you want to do that in New York, the cheapest per person is $26,000 and it goes up to $69,000. If you have that type of money, you shouldn't be listening to this. It should be your assistant listening to this.
Yeah.
And then the other hospitality is the Follow My Team. So Follow My Team, you can choose any team other than the three host countries. So not US, Canada, or Mexico. And this starts at about $6,700. And for this, you're guaranteed to follow your team for the group stage and one round of 32, I guess, if they make it out of that. The tip here is that once they announce the draw, maybe your team is Mexico and you know that that is in group A. Once they announce the draw, maybe a country like Saudi Arabia is also placed in group A. So instead of Mexico that you can't choose as part of this Follow My Team, you can choose Saudi Arabia because you know that Saudi Arabia is going to play Mexico. So you're going to be going to that game as well. Now, the other final way that could be perhaps cheaper is going through a third party like SeatGeek or other resale websites. Of course, there's some type of risk, or maybe it's just the tournament officials not wanting you to go through other third-party websites and trying to scare you. I don't know, but Osman, you went through a third-party website for the Qatar 2022 final, right?
Yeah. So I went through a third party. I used a Ticombo.us. It's a ticketing site, which was, a lot of my friends have used it to watch, soccer games in Europe. So I knew it was a trusted source. FIFA's going to tell you to not use these, third party resellers because at the end of the day, they're not making the money. It's, at buyer's discretion. It's up to you. Also, do some research to see, hey, is it worth it? There's already on StubHub, people selling tickets for the actual games. You don't know which ones they are, and they're already putting in random countries. And there's unfortunately people actually buying them now thinking that these are guaranteed tickets. So I don't recommend that. Your first source should be through FIFA. Resale websites should be your last priority. And just be smart when you buy them. It's a big risk. One of the biggest ones I've ever taken, I bought tickets off of eBay for the 2014 Brazil World Cup for the US ones. And the guy that sold me the tickets, I'm still friends with them today. There's a lot of crazy stories on how I've gotten tickets, whether it's in the favelas in Rio. That's, like the slums. I'm talking about bad. Like if you guys have seen the movie City of God with the little kids with the, like, just like that, people with guns and stuff. And we walked out. It was the same thing. I went with my brother and we're like, I had to put money under my shoe in my sock just to make sure I wouldn't get robbed. And when we did the ticket transaction, he invited us to a block party and there was a restroom behind this little storefront. People just drink beer outside. He was like, hey, behind the mirror. I put the 2 tickets. You could check them out if it's real. If you think they are, take the tickets, leave me the money back there. So I go in there, I slip my money back there. It was for the Chile versus Spain match in Maracanã, which is Maracanã is probably one of the most historic stadiums in the world. I went there and I was okay, here you go. Tickets were category 4. So category 4 tickets is one of the categories that Miguel didn't mention. Those are for the local residents. Do not try to get those. I know those are really cheap online. You see them that FIFA selling them. For each stadium, they probably have about 50 tickets. So we got to be realistic too when we're trying to get tickets. These category 4 tickets, they costed that gentleman $15. I bought those 2 tickets for $1,800.
Oh, wow.
But it was probably one of the best matches I've gone to. There's a lot of money, it was, but the experience itself that I could talk about it now 11 years later was probably one that I cannot forget.
How can you tell those tickets were real?
For the tickets, if you put them up against the light, you can see there's like little magnetic strips on them. Also, FIFA will send out emails, let the fans know, hey, beware of scammers, and they tell you what to look for on the tickets.
Okay.
And then also is the trust, your faith. Hopefully they don't get the best of me, but it's happened too. We've seen people outside. They sell some counterfeit tickets that look just like the real ones. And then for this upcoming World Cup, they're not physical tickets like in Qatar. I don't know if you got any physical tickets, Miguel. For the 2022 World Cup, there wasn't any physical tickets. At least I didn't get any. Now the physical tickets, you get them as souvenirs after the actual tournament has concluded. It's through QR codes. So that's another thing too. Make sure your phone is charged, because without the QR code, you can have a million tickets. If your phone is dead, you don't have access to your phone, that QR code, you're pretty much lucked out of that game.
And you can also not take screenshots. If you take a screenshot, the QR code disappears. It's like a living QR code.
It's like a safety matter, because every also like 59 seconds, it'll refresh.
So Osman, I know you're waiting for your email from FIFA to buy tickets. How much do you think you'll have to spend per ticket?
It depends too.
How much are you willing to spend?
Well, I know you're willing to spend $2,000 a
So my thing is, a lot of people, especially on the news, you see it's going to be the most expensive World Cup. I mean, 10,000. I don't know. My mom's probably going to see this. She's going to be, what are you doing? But I think 10,000 will be the maximum. But realistically, hopefully about 5,000
per ticket?
No, total.
Total.
So about
okay.
This is a good time to sign up for a good sign up bonus on the credit card.
Yep.
Yeah.
Use it towards a sub.
Especially the ones that have 0% interest. So this is a great opportunity for someone that's like me, new into the points game. I just recently opened another Chase Inc. Business Cash, which has 0% interest for the next 12 months. So I moved some credit around, and that's what I'm going to use to pay off this World Cup. And I have an extra couple months to pay myself back. Instead of paying interest, I'm just paying myself back on an interest-free card. That's how I see a lot of these tips I've learned from Miguel too. I'm always sliding in his DMs, asking him for tips here and there as well. I'm very thankful. Well, now that you know how crazy I am and trying to spend all this type of money, how about you, Miguel? How much have you spent and are willing to spend for this World Cup?
Thankfully, I got tickets to one match, and I'm happy without it. If I get other ones, cool. But if not, at least I know we're going to one match. So the way I got it was I also signed up for the early draw, but I didn't get an email. However, I have a friend who also went to Qatar 2022, and their entire family is into football or soccer. And they spent quite a bit last time in some of these games. But this time they asked, hey, did you get the email from FIFA to get your tickets? I'm like, no, you know what? I just signed up with 2 emails and I didn't get anything. They're like, well, we signed up with 20 emails. And on 2 of those email addresses, we got access to buy tickets. Why didn't I think of that? 20 emails, I could have, 10x my entries. But thankfully they offered, hey, we bought tickets for Boston, Miami, and New York. From what I understand, you can't buy more than 4 tickets per match. So they said, if you want to go to a different venue, we can buy them for you and then transfer them. My top venue for this tournament was Seattle because I have family there. I have a nonstop flight on Alaska Airlines there. And it just seemed like some of the prices were lower for that venue as opposed to, say, LA or New York or even Dallas. I got the 4 tickets. I looked at the dates. I don't know who's going to be playing yet, right? None of us know yet. I think it's a round of 16 on July 6th. I also chose this because it's a holiday weekend for the 4th of July, which means I have an extra free day to play around with for PTO or anything like that. Seattle is also one of the cities with pretty good public transport. So I got those tickets. They were category 1 and I paid $6.95 per person. So I got 4 tickets. Like I said, I'm already at $27.90, which is, I think it's more than I spent for the entire Qatar 2022 trip, even though that was by myself. And I also spent close to 700,000 points. This is just for the tickets themselves. I was able to get 2 nights at the W, Seattle. And we're going to get into some tips about hotels because I do have a couple of pointers when you're looking for hotel stays for the World Cup matches. That's what I've spent, about $2,800 on 4 tickets. I'm also going to try to maybe check out one in Vancouver because that's only about 3-4 hour drive maybe. I'm going to see if I can make that happen because I'm going to be close already. And we'll give some pointers on the regions and different stadiums as well.
And that's face value too. So it just shows you how expensive this World Cup is going to be this time around.
Yeah, if I wanted to resell them already, I could already make a profit, but I actually want to go. My youngest daughter plays soccer. I already told her and she's excited. There's no way I can get rid of these tickets anymore.
You're going.
If you do.
So, Miguel, you paid $6.95 per ticket with that early access. Are we expecting the next emails to roll out to be even higher than that?
Honestly, I wish I could tell you, but with this dynamic pricing, anything could happen, higher, lower. Maybe, you know what? Yeah, probably higher. I doubt it'll be lower until you get maybe closer to the match itself or the tournament itself, because I know they tried to sell this Club World Cup, which happened in 2025. They were trying to sell them very expensive, but closer to the matches, they weren't selling enough tickets. So they dropped the prices. I don't think the actual World Cup is going to happen that way, but you never know.
So have you been to any of the World Cups? We want to hear about your experience. Let us know in the comments below.
Speaking of the Club World Cup, I bought tickets for the first match the day they came out. 4 tickets cost me about $400. I was only going to go to one. I ended up going to every single game here at the Rose Bowl. I was buying tickets for $20 each.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So there was a big demand from, and then at the end of the day, people just wanted to get rid of their tickets. So it was fun. I went, I think, to the Rose Bowl in 1 week, every other day.
What was your favorite match for that?
For the Club World Cup, my favorite match, I think it had to be, my favorite game for that one was a Botafogo versus PSG. Because PSG was the actual defending European champion for the Champions League, and Botafogo beat them 1-0. And then where I live here in my city, there was a couple Airbnbs I didn't know existed. I guess some of my neighbors rented out their house. A lot of Brazilians were staying where we were living. It was fun. I got to meet a couple of them, and then I saw them at the stadium. So then now we're actually Instagram friends now. So I have a place to stay now when I go to Brazil.
That's cool. No more mosquitoes, right?
They're going to be there always. Well, maybe, hopefully not. We'll see, Now,
a lot of people like to bash on the U.S. on its public transport system compared to Europe and Japan, and rightfully so. It sucks. There are some cities that have pretty decent public transportation, but overall as a country, we don't. So this is going to be important when you're planning which stadiums to go to, how you plan, because for some of these cities, you'll be able to get a hotel and within walking distance, or maybe there's a light rail system. But for some cities, especially Kansas City, you're going to probably have to rent a car, get an Uber. Now you're dealing with surge pricing. It's not going to be pretty. So you also need a plan for your transportation and how to get to and from the stadium for these matches. So depending on the transport options available at your city, you can do things like arrive early. Osman mentioned it. Not only will you have a better time because you're not stressing over perhaps missing some of the match, but you're just having a good time with the festivities that are going to be going on throughout the day. But some of these cities, you want to arrive extra early because there are no good public transport options available. Some of the best cities with the best public transport are going to be Vancouver, Toronto, Seattle, Philadelphia, Atlanta, Houston, New York, and Mexico City. These cities have real urban transport or stadium-specific rail. And the ones where you're going to probably need Uber or taxi are going to be Dallas, Kansas City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. Something that you could do when you're trying to apply for these tickets is concentrate on a region or a cluster. You have the West Coast, which is LA, San Francisco. You can include Seattle and Vancouver. You have the Central region, which includes Kansas City, Houston, Dallas, and then the stadiums in Mexico, which include Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. Then you have the East Coast, which is Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and if you get down into Atlanta and Miami, if you concentrate on some of those and try to pick matches close together, it's going to be easier overall to navigate within those cities. Osman, what strategies did you use for the other World Cups? Because somewhere like Russia, where it's huge, I imagine some of the stadiums were also pretty far apart as well. So you mentioned in Brazil, there was a all-you-can-fly pass. What were the other tournaments like?
Touching base on the Russia one, one thing that FIFA does, and I hope they do it for this upcoming one, is they also offer free shuttles. So for example, if they were to offer a free shuttle here in the city of Los Angeles, normally they'll do it from the main transportation hub. So it's like a Union Station. So like the big cities, from their Union Stations, they'll have the buses. They'll have a free shuttle bus that goes to the actual stadium. So we did that mainly. And we also did a lot of Uber, Kara, I think it's called in Qatar. We did a lot of those. And in Brazil, we did the motorcycles, people on the street, and then, hey, I'll give you $5 and then they'll take us. Which after they told us, hey, don't do that because it could be very dangerous because they can kidnap you. But I mean, we're still here. And the whole thing is, this is before I got married and had kids. I mean, now I have a different perspective of life, but the thing is to have fun. Just don't think twice. Obviously, if it's safe, we'll go ahead and do it, but just have fun. And then a lot of these things normally you won't do. So I like to take risks, and a lot of the times, like, well, this looks fun. Okay, let's do that. Yeah. So it's fun. For this one upcoming, like the little clusters that you were mentioning about, pick certain areas. There's a great connection from here, Los Angeles to San Francisco. You can either take the Greyhound bus, you could do a short flight, and there's also the trains too that can go from here to there. And then if you do the Pacific Northwest, they have Seattle and Vancouver, the same as a small car rental. Texas and central of the United States, the Midwest, you can rent a car as well there. And then also in the East area too. A lot of those big cities are close by. I didn't realize how close New York City is to Philadelphia. It's only like an hour and a half away compared to here, Los Angeles. Our nearest big city is either Las Vegas or San Francisco, not counting San Diego, but it's so much far. Everything in the East Coast is so clustered, which that's one thing I'm jealous about, but we have the best weather here. So
we do. I keep saying that all the time.
It's still the best coast, right?
It is still
always,
the best.
Always and forever.
So I like how you talk about transportation because I think it's very important for everybody to research. So FIFA is calling it San Francisco, but the actual stadium is Levi Stadium and it's in Santa Clara, which is about an hour south of San Francisco. So you want to research which airports you want to fly into and also the hotels that you want to choose. I would not want to stay at a hotel in San Francisco. I'd want to stay closer to the stadium unless you wanted to make it a bigger vacation of greater San Francisco.
It's great that you mentioned that. I actually booked my hotel for the Hyatt through points. FIFA calls it San Francisco, but we know the game is in Santa Clara. San Jose is literally a rock's throw away from it. So I booked a room in San Jose, which is 10 minutes from the actual venue. So that's one of the things too I would recommend for people doing. Don't try to stay in those big cities. A lot of these stadiums are not like in other countries around the world where the actual stadium is in the actual city. Boston, where Boston Stadium is at, is in it's far away from the actual city of Boston. So Foxborough is like literally an hour north. And then for the New York one, the stadium's in New Jersey. So that's also a mission to get from New York City to New Jersey where the final's going to be.
Are you planning to go to the games on the East Coast?
God willing, yes. I'm trying to go to as many games as I can. With my wife and my kids, my wife told me she just wants to go to one game. I told her, perfect. I check all them off the list. With my father-in-law, we're trying to go to as many as we can. So right now it's you can, with one account, you can apply up to 10 games, 4 tickets. That's one thing too that I wanted to touch on basis with Miguel is each account you could apply up to 10 games, 4 tickets, with a maximum of 40 tickets. So you also got to plan out how many tickets for what venue, for what game. It's a lot of planning that you need to go through this.
Okay, let's talk about flights now, because with a tournament of this magnitude and how spread out it is, the good thing is that if you understand how award flights work, what some of the airline hubs are, and which loyalty points you can use to book certain flights, you can save a lot of money on these flights. So to recap, in the United States, the host cities are Atlanta, Boston, Dallas, Houston, Kansas City, LA, Miami, New York/New Jersey, Philadelphia, San Francisco Bay Area, and Seattle. In Mexico, you have Mexico City, Guadalajara, and Monterrey. And in Canada, you have Toronto and Vancouver. This is the biggest geographical footprint ever. The first thing that I would do is set Google flight alerts for every city that you're considering. So if you're considering going to Boston from LA, I would set alerts around the dates of the match you want to go see. You'll find some cities cheaper and easier to fly in and out of because major US airlines have hubs at some of these host cities. Even El Paso has nonstop options to 5 of these cities. We have nonstops to Seattle, LA, Dallas, Houston, and Atlanta. Focusing on host cities, Delta has hubs in Atlanta, Seattle, LA, New York, and Boston. American has hubs in Dallas, Miami, Philadelphia, New York. Alaska has a hub in Seattle. United has hubs in Houston, San Francisco, New York, and LA. Air Canada has plenty of options out of Toronto and Vancouver. Aeromexico's main hub is Mexico City, but you can find nonstop routes from the US to Monterrey and to Guadalajara as well. Even Southwest has focus cities in Houston, Hobby, and Dallas Love. These are secondary airports in Houston and Dallas, so you'll want to consider that as well when you're planning to go to those cities. The best programs to use if you want to book Delta flights or Aeromexico flights, you can search and book using Delta Miles, Air France, KLM Flying Blue, and Virgin Atlantic. You can consider booking through Aeromexico directly if you have Amex points because they have a more favorable 1 to 1.6 ratio as opposed to other transfer partners which only have 1 to 1. For American or Alaska, you'll want to use American, Alaska, or British Airways. For United and Air Canada flights, search and book the United, Air Canada, Avianca Life Miles, and Turkish. Turkish would be especially a good deal if you're able to find those award flights. For some of these transcontinental routes, look into JetBlue, and you can book that using either JetBlue, TrueBlue, or Qatar Privilege Club. Which type of credit card points can you transfer into each program? You can transfer to Delta only from American Express, to Alaska only from Bilt, to American only from Citi, transfer to Aeromexico from American Express, Capital One, Citi, and Rove, but we recommend only from Amex or one of the others if there's a transfer bonus. You can transfer to United from Chase and Bilt, to Turkish from Bilt, Capital One, Citi, and Rove, to Air Canada from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, and Chase, to Avianca Life Miles from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, Citi, and Wells Fargo, to British Airways from American Express, Bilt, Capital One, Chase, and Wells Fargo, and to Air France and Virgin Atlantic from most major banks. You could also transfer into these airline programs from Marriott, but we typically don't recommend that because it's not a favorable ratio. And I also want to say that also look into low-cost carriers. You're going to have some flights from the US into Mexico with Viva Aerobus or Volaris, which are Mexican low-cost carriers. Within the US, there's domestic flights with Frontier. I don't know about Spirit, but I wouldn't risk such expensive ticket for this tournament on one of these low-cost carriers unless you have some buffer time built in. So y'all would go a couple days prior to the actual match just in case there's any delays or cancellations.
Yeah, imagine spending so much on tickets, but you can't get there. You're not going to get your money back on your tickets.
Or the flights if you go Spirit.
I feel like if that happened to Osman, he would just drive coast to coast to make sure he gets there.
100%.
He's not missing any of those matches.
Because the World Cup is fun. For me, that's probably one of my most fun seasons. And it's also very tiring too. That's why I'm bald now. Before I met my wife, my wife thinks I went bald because I met her, but in reality, it's because of the World Cup. There's a little bit of sleep, a lot of planning, and then a lot of the times we're sleeping on buses, wherever I see anything, I'll put my head down.
So Osman, with the last World Cup in Qatar, how did you get there?
For the flights to Qatar from Los Angeles during that time were very expensive. I think they were about $3,000 a person to go directly from Los Angeles to Qatar. So what I did, I actually used from Los Angeles to Dubai. So we went to Dubai for about 4 days prior to, and it was about a fraction of the price. And then I bought a quick flight from Dubai to Qatar, which is about a 50-minute flight. And that was like $200. And I did that on the way back as well. So I bought a round trip from Los Angeles to Dubai and then round trips from Dubai to Qatar. And I probably saved over half of whatever I spent on it. I think it was over $3,000. I think between my father and I, it was about $1,500, which I thought was a steal. And now I wish I would have known about points. I've always known about points, but I've always been scared. But if I were to do points then, like I'm doing it now, I would have been even. But I probably would have flown first class the way Miguel has been. Actually, all three of you, especially you, Mitch.
Nah, it's all lies. Don't believe what you see.
Osman, did you fly Emirates to Dubai?
Yes, we flew economy Emirates to Dubai. It was a 16-hour flight. When I tell people that, like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I'm going to be honest with you. An economy flight from here to Dubai on Emirates is actually very comfortable.
Yes.
It's very, very comfortable. Yeah.
I've done it before on Emirates from San Francisco to Dubai, and it's still fine, just an economy. I wouldn't say I'd do it again, but I'd rather be in business there first. But economy's fine. Yeah.
I've also done Qatar Airways from Los Angeles to Doha when we went to the honeymoon with my wife to the Maldives. We did that on economy as well during COVID. And it was like $600 each person.
That's great.
It's a great rate.
Yeah, it was. And then now that I'm really into the points game, thanks to you guys and especially this show, I actually booked my first redemption on business class seats. Actually, from Los Angeles to Bali with a 5-day stopover in Singapore with my wife. So I'm super excited for that.
Wow, that's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm guessing 5 days stopover, that's Aeroplan? Is that how you booked it?
Directly from Chris Flyer, actually.
Oh,
and the
Chris Flyer.
Yeah. I guess there was a special, I don't know what it was. It was in the middle of the night. I woke up and I was actually watching your videos when you were doing your trips out in the Eastern area. So I was like, oh, let me check it out really quick. So for that one-way trip with a 5-day stopover in Singapore, I think it was 108,000 points.
Wow.
To me, To me, it seemed like,
well, compared to now, it's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I can't wait for that. And then a lot of it has to do because of your videos that you were posting when you did your, I think, was it 30 days out in Southeast Asia?
Yeah.
Yeah. So a lot of it came from your video. So thank you.
So where are you going to stay in Singapore? And more importantly, where are you staying in Bali?
So for Singapore, we're looking to stay at the Andaz.
Nice.
So we'll stay at the Andaz for a couple of days. And in Bali, my wife wanted to do one of those tree houses. So we're going to do an Airbnb for a couple of days in one of the tree houses. But other than that, I think I might stay at the Grand Hyatt, which is the one that you stayed, where you guys had that meal. That looks so good.
Oh, yeah. That was the Andaz in Bali.
Okay, then that's the one we're staying at.
I think that may be the best breakfast I've ever had. It was a la carte, pretty much everything. So book it.
It looked delicious. Yeah.
Don't wait.
So if you want to book some award flights using your points and miles, one thing we recommend is using Seats.aero. Set your alerts for the dates for the airports that you want to do. I've always liked adding Vancouver anyway when I'm looking for something out of the West Coast. So make sure you add Vancouver. And that's Vancouver, Canada, not the other Vancouver. There's another Vancouver, right?
YVR is what you're looking for. You're not looking for Vancouver, Washington. Serena, everyone wants to know, do you still have over 5,000 alerts set with Seats.aero?
I do, and I'm trying to add more. Ever since we talked with Ian and he told us the heavy hitters have 50,000, I'm working my way up there.
Well, I'm not much of a planner, so I don't need alerts. All I need is Seats.aero's first class finder. They have a first class finder for ANA, Lufthansa, Japan Airlines, and they have a Q Suites finder. And with that tool, I can see everything that's available leaving from the US. And if I can leave in the next couple weeks because I found first class, I'll do it.
And Miguel, you look great when you fly in those first class products as well. We have got a discount with Seats.aero. We got the promo code down in the show notes. Check it out. It's going to get you $20 off their annual plan, which is a huge savings. So check the show notes below for one of our favorite products, Seats.aero.
The fastest search engine for award travel. Explore availability across entire regions. Search with instant results. Create free alerts and more to find the best flights for your points. Seats.aero.
It's a good point that you bring up too, Mitch, because for the 2014 World Cup, Brazil has a city called Salvador, and a lot of people are buying tickets to San Salvador because they put the code SAL thinking it was the one for Brazil, and they were in Central America instead of Brazil for the World Cup.
Oh no.
What's that Instagram post where people mistakenly go to Austria instead of Australia?
Yeah.
The details matter here, I think.
Also San Jose, Costa Rica, and San Jose, California.
Oh, yeah.
Correct.
Be careful,
And Cabo,
people.
San Jose del Cabo.
Yeah.
They get that one confused too, yeah.
This is also good to bring up that there are potentially different airports that you can fly into. For example, if you're trying to go to one of the games in San Francisco, you could actually fly into San Francisco, Oakland, or San Jose. If you're trying to attend one of the matches in Miami and you're not finding anything to Miami, consider Fort Lauderdale because that is pretty close as well. So you can fly into there. If you want to go to Seattle, you're not finding anything. You could try Portland. It's about 3-4 hours maybe away. But if you're coming from the East Coast, you know, that's good enough. I think if you're trying to go to LA has many different airports, not just LAX. So consider Burbank, Ontario, and Orange County. So look into that as well. Mexico City has a secondary airport called Felipe Angeles. The airport code is NLU, and there's not as many flights there, but that's another option as well. Same thing with New York. New York has 3 airports. Well, I guess 2 plus New Jersey. So you have New York JFK, New York LaGuardia, and then Newark out in New Jersey, which is a United hub. So consider those 3 if you're trying to go to one of those matches up there.
So, Miguel, you're going to Seattle. So traditionally, yes, I got one more for you, SCA, but Alaska Airlines, they also do have a lot of service out of Payne Field. So that might be another one to look at. It's about an hour-ish to get from Payne Field down to Seattle or wherever you might be going. But hey, you could see some really cool new Boeing 777s while you're up there as well, because that's where the factory is too. So just another option, because I know you're going to the Seattle area, Miguel. All right. Now here's my question. Where is the game going to be played in Los Angeles? Because I want to know if I can rent out my garage and how much I can get for that.
Yeah, the LA games are going to be at SoFi Stadium. I believe that's Inglewood.
I'm not going to get a good rate on my garage. It's kind of far from me. So where else can we stay? What's some good hotel options for the games when we're going?
So there's 16 cities, Mitch. We can't really go over all of the options, but we're going to give some overall general tips that should apply to most of these cities. If you're a Hyatt globalist, one of the best things you can do is the advanced points reservation that Hyatt offers as a benefit to Globalist, because if there's any standard award availability for these hotels that are close to these stadiums, even if you don't know if you're going, you don't need the points in your account. You can call the Globalist line or chat or send an email to your concierge and do an advanced points booking for these properties, because that way you have it reserved just in case you get match tickets, but you don't need the points in your account until a week prior. If you end up not getting tickets to some of these matches, and you can just cancel it. If you have the points like Osman, you can make these points bookings without needing an advanced points reservation and just having them as a placeholder to see what matches you get. But make sure you always understand the cancellation policy, because sometimes these cancellation policies, even with points bookings, might be non-refundable. So make sure you read that, because I've made that mistake before where I book something that's non-refundable and then I don't find out until I'm trying to cancel it that I'm not getting my money or my points back. Something that I learned from the last World Cup was new hotels could make mistakes because they were brand new. Just like the hotel that I stayed at in Qatar, it was a new hotel that was coming online to the system. It allowed me to book with points, even though it shouldn't have. Look for new properties that are going to be opening up. So a couple to mention are the Park Hyatt Mexico City or the Thompson in Monterrey. There's also a M Citizen property open up in Seattle that I'm keeping an eye on. It's supposed to open anytime now, and I'm going to see if I can book it for less than what I currently have booked, which is the W Hotel. And another tip I have as far as hotels is that consider the option of buying points. For example, in Seattle, for the dates that I'm going to be attending the match, there is a Kimpton property, and the cash rate is about $850, $900 per night for those days, and it's non-refundable. Now, if you don't have tickets to that match, why would you do that? And even for someone like me that has match tickets, anything can happen between then and now, and I'd be out $900 per night. You can book that exact same property for 117,000 IHG points. If you have Chase points that you can transfer over to IHG, great, you can go ahead and book it. But if you don't, IHG and Hilton, for that matter, often have promotions where they sell points for half a cent per point. So if I wanted to buy 117,000 points during one of these promotions, it would be $585. Not only is that 30% savings off of the cash rate, but points bookings are refundable. So what I would do if I wanted to do something like this at the Kimpton, I would buy 117,000 points times 2 if it's 2 nights. That's a 30% savings already, but it also makes it refundable. So look into the potential of buying points as well.
That's great that you mentioned that. That's why I booked through points for my Hyatt in San Francisco or San Jose, Boston, Dallas, and the Miami area. But also, one of the things I like to recommend to people is Airbnb. There's a lot of Airbnbs, especially if Mitch rents out your garage. I'm sure someone will pay for it. 100%. Give it from me. I've stayed in someone's jiu-jitsu gym. So
that's the one with the mosquitoes, right?
That's the one with the mosquitoes. Yeah. One of the things too, if you want to maximize your points, one of the things I actually learned from this show is if you use your Chase Inc. Business Cash Card, you can buy actually Airbnb gift cards from Staples or Office Depot, and you get 5 times. So that's one of the things too, if you want to maximize your points, which I've been doing.
That's a great tip. And then you add the gift cards to your Airbnb account and it piles up, right, into a bank of cash that you can use toward your bookings.
Correct. So once you upload all your gift cards, when it's time to pay, it'll normally by default, it'll do the gift cards first. And then if there's a balance, then you put your card or whatever. But what I do is I get the total, what the actual total is. Once I see the total, I go out to the store and I get the same amount, that quantity in gift cards.
A way to earn more points when you're booking Airbnb is also booking through Delta or British Airways. With British Airways in particular, you'll earn 2 Avios points for every $1 that you spend on Airbnb, which is great. Osman, I love how you already got all your hotels booked, even if you don't have tickets yet and we don't know which cities you're going to. I think that's so genius to get ahead of everybody else. I was looking at hotels near Levi Stadium to see what was available, and the hotel that I would have wanted to stay at is the Hyatt Regency Santa Clara. I've stayed there before, and Levi Stadium is just a walk away, and it's so easy to get to, but it's sold out right now. But what I would do is put a MaxMyPoint alert for the hotel that you want to stay at, and maybe availability might open up as we get closer to the date. You never know. But in the meantime, it's always great to have a backup booking at a refundable property just in case. And make sure you read the terms and conditions, which I learned Miguel likes to do. Another thing I want to bring up is choice. So a lot of people don't know about Choice hotels, and a lot of people aren't thinking about it. When I search on Choice's website for points properties around Levi Stadium, for example, I am seeing availability. And some of these properties are as low as 16,000 points per night. And if you have City points or Wells Fargo points, those transfer 1 to 2 to Choice, which means these properties will cost as little as 8,000 points a night. So Choice is definitely something to look at as well. And if you are considering paying cash, another site to look at is Rove Miles. Rove Miles provides a way for you to earn transferable points if you're paying cash for a hotel. So you can earn anywhere from 4x to even 40x and more for each dollar that you spend on Rove Miles. There are also loyalty eligible hotels on their site. So if you book a loyalty eligible Hyatt, for example, you will get the Hyatt points, you'll get your loyalty benefits, and the charge will code as a Hyatt as well. So you'll get even more extra points if you are using a Hyatt credit card to book your stay. So if you're interested in Rove Miles, we have a link to join in the show notes below, and you can earn extra Rove Miles just by signing up.
You know, guys, this World Cup, it's going to be massive, right? So if you plan early, you booked your hotels with points, and you keep your flights flexible, you're going to be able to see multiple matches without spending a fortune, which I don't know who's not spending a fortune on tickets. So we want to know, what's your plan? Have you made one? Have you started booking things? Are you doing points advance? What matches do you really want to see? What cities do you really want to go to? Let us know in the comments below what your plans are for the World Cup. Osman, it has been great having you with us here tonight. Now, my garage is 200 square feet. It's heated. I need help making a good listing on Airbnb. How can I talk to you more about that?
You can follow me on my social on Instagram at OsmanPenna121. And if you need help fixing that garage, let me know. I know how to do that stuff too.
I really need to know what I need to charge for this. That's more important, I think.
Just look whatever they're charging in your area, double it, because it's World Cup season. People are going to pay for whatever you put, they'll pay. All you need is a bed. All I care about is whatever I'm sleeping, and everything else, well, we'll see how it goes.
Do you think an automatic garage door adds value to that?
Oh, 100%.
You should put on the listing no mosquitoes, and you can charge more too.
We got to do this listing, see what it's going to look like. All right, that's it for now. I want to thank all of our hosts. It's Serena.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Miguel.
Later.
And special thank you to Osman for joining us tonight.
Nice to meet you guys.
And I'm Mitch Shannon. Please go ahead and sign up for our email newsletter. Just snap the QR code right now on your screen for the latest and everything that we share going on in the Points and Miles world. Next week, want to take your P2 with you in first class? Well, we've got the best tips and tricks on how to book just that. First class for 2 people with Adam Hill from the Instagram channel Miles to Smiles. And in 2 weeks, we've got our very special end of the year episode with just us debriefing our recent Let's Get to the Points company retreat to Tokyo, Japan. You're going to want to miss any of that. Thank you for watching and listening.
You know, my parents make a killing. Whenever Golden Gate Park has a thing like outside lands, my dad is out there with a sign saying $80 for parking, and people buy it. And he can park 3 cars.
Let's get to the points.com.